This video is about we the people having economic change pushed on us, which can be helped and brought about by introduction of laws to control viruses. They want economic change. They, the people, the elite, the mafia, whatever you want to call them, the cabal. And that economic change will send us back to the dark ages. Part of that economic change involves the green agenda.
You want this to happen by 2025. To do that, we would effectively have to close down the whole of British industry, wouldn't we?
We would have to totally refocus British industry. It would be a mobilisation like we did in 1939.
The green agenda in America is being pushed by Cortez and in England by Extinction Rebellion. Those ideals for that green agenda are to basically save the planet by redistributing wealth and by government taking over industry, because industry is the great polluter, not the sun, which is heating up. And CO2 is very bad for the planet, even though plants need CO2 to produce oxygen.
And frankly, it is unsustainable to continue to believe that our system of runaway, unaccountable, law-breaking pursuit of profit, whose inequality is so socially destabilizing that it is giving rise to authoritarians who burn our forests. Our greatest choice is to move towards a cooperative, collaborative world that aligns with scientific consensus, whose economies center and benefit the middle and lower classes and the marginalized, which is to say, most people. And that is what a Green New Deal is all about.
If you can put laws into industry, you can then allow those laws to be directed at environmental issues. But we can't get the laws pushed in right at this moment for environmental issues, so we need something else to happen. And the viruses that will be coming out in the future. A social state with laws is going to be pushed into a global control system. Fascism and communism are the same thing. Communism is national socialism. Communism, socialism is when the state looks after you. Capitalism is when the private companies look after you, because they don't. Everyone who has power always abuses power. So therefore, whether it's communist or capitalist, it's still the same thing at the end of the day. It's still abused. So how would you control the environment? In order to control the environment, you need to control industry. In order to control industry, you need to put laws into the industry for that to happen. Now, if you were to leak a virus, or it accidentally got leaked, or for some strange reason it just re-emerged, or a new one was developed by nature and it became a global pandemic. A global pandemic costs billions of pounds. SARS, 50 billion, Ebola, 50 billion in those regions. If Spanish influenza flu was brought back in today's costs of what it cost back then, it'd probably be about 3 trillion pounds. Therefore, if you have viruses which are a threat to global economy, you need to protect the global economy with whatever strategies you need, which the people will give you, which might mean closing down cities. If you close down a city, you need transport into the city and food production in order to keep the millions of people alive in those cities or the countries. For instance, if a country's got a pandemic or an endemic and it's very contagious and lethal, then you would stop travel. But people still need to get food. Therefore, you need to have transport of food and production of food. Therefore, you need to keep industry open. If you keep industry open, you need special laws to do that. And the only people that will be able to do that in this crisis will be the government. Therefore, the government needs to take control over private enterprise. It's therefore sequestering the private enterprises. And that is going to be loved by the people, because if you're starving to death and you're in fear and panic, which has been hyped by the media, then you're going to want to be looked after by the father state. Therefore, you'll give all authority to that state to help you and to keep you alive. The only problem is that once those laws come in, which you could put in, if there is a virus, deadly virus outbreak, the government could put special laws to become the authority over industry. Those laws don't suddenly go away. Once the laws come, they stay. Now, if those laws stay, then those laws can be used for other things. For instance, when there was the 9/11 and there was the 7/11 terrorist attacks, those laws for stop and search were allowed into society. And those laws are then abused to stop and search anyone that they want. So if you start to put in laws, we need, as the public, to be very, very careful what those laws can be used for in the future. And if those laws need to be put in to society to maintain a pandemic or epidemic then we need to make sure that those laws go. And we need to have a big think where all these pandemics and epidemics are coming from. In a 7-year period, 1,483 endemics manifested, which is a rise in illness and viruses and bacteria. So we need to understand why this is happening.